here we go. Here we go. Hello, Algebra 2, Honors Algebra 2. Wait a minute, not just Algebra 2, Honors Algebra 2, and Trig. Here we go with our review for final exam. I know we've gone over all these problems, but I promised you that I would do it again. So here we go. All right, so I'll go over the actual problems on the review sheet, and then I'll give you other ones that are similar to it. How's that? So number one, solve by completing the square. Period A knows that we can do two 3x5 note cards. So period D, two, not one, but two little note cards. All right, to complete the square, we get the constant on the right. So subtract 21. We take the coefficient of x, which is 8, divided by 2, square it, 16. So we do plus 16 here and plus 16 here. Right side's -5. The left side's guaranteed to factor into a perfect square. So what goes here? It's the square root of 16. Or you find it right here. Or it's this divided by 2. So it's 4. So x plus 4 squared equals -5. Take the square root of each side. The square root of that's going to be x plus 4. And it's always plus or minus. Always, always. We get that. So x plus 4 equals plus or minus I root 5. And then just subtract 4. -4 plus or minus I root 5. Answer. All right, so you try this one, please. Go for it. You can pause and all that. So we subtract 3 from each side. Coefficient of x, -10, divided by 2, -5, square it. Always a positive. Always going to add a positive. So this is x minus 5 squared, right? It's 10 divided by 2, or it's right here. That's a 22. Square root of each side, x minus 5 equals plus or minus root 22. Add your 5. That's it. Does root 22 break down? Nope. Is there an I to pull out? Nope. That's it. All right, number 2 is quadratic formula. This was the problem. Everything on one side, 0 on the other. So A equals 3, B equals -4, C equals +5. If you don't have the formula memorized, put it on your little card. So what do we got? B is -4, so negative B is +4. -4 squared minus 4AC, and the whole thing is over 2A. All right, so we got that. So that's 4 plus or minus 16 minus 60, I think, all over 6. Yep, so 4 plus or minus square root of -44 over 6. That's basically the answer. A little work to do. Let's see, I can pull out the I. And then root 44 does break down. Right, it's 2 times 22, 2 times 11. Sock drawer, it's 2 root 11. 4 plus or minus 2I root 11 over 6. Reducible in all 3 places, 1, 2, 3. Divide them all by 2. So 2 plus or minus I root 11 over 3 is it. All right, here's one for you to try. Quadratic formula for this one. All right, you can pause and do that out. Okay, we're back. So x equals -b, which is +5, right? A is 2, B is -5, C is 9. So -b is +5, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. 5 plus or minus square root of 25 minus 72 over 4. 5 plus or minus square root of negative, what's that, 47? I think it is. Pull out the I. In this case, 47 doesn't break down, you're done. But what if you got this for an answer? What if you got 10 plus or minus square root of 80 over 4? Can you just practice breaking that down? Yeah, so 80 ends up being 4 root 5. So 10 plus or minus 4 root 5 over 4. And now you can divide everything by 2. 5, 2, 2. 5 plus or minus 2 root 5 all over 2. How would 80 turn into 4 root 5? Oh, come on, you know this. Sock drawer. 2 times 40, 2 times 20, 2 times 10, 2 times 5. There's the drawer. Pull out 1, 2, pull out another 2, 5's left inside, 4 root 5. All right, moving right along, solve by factoring. Okay, multiplies to negative 60, 6 times negative 10 adds to negative 11, that's negative 15 and positive 4. So if you do magic FIOTO, you go 6x, 6x, remember that repeats. I can factor out a 3. I can factor out a 2. Factor it out, throw it out. So I have this. So that gives me solutions of x equals positive 5 over 2 and x equals negative 2 over 3. If you like to split the middle, I can have 6x squared, and this splits into negative 15x plus 4x. It's a 0 there. So here I can factor out a 3x and have 2x minus 5. Here I can factor out a 2. 2x minus 5, that's good news. Take out the 2x minus 5, 3x plus 2, same answers of positive 5/2 and negative 2/3. All right, let me give you one for you to try here. Give me a sec. Let's try 10x squared plus 33x minus 7. Go for it. Okay, multiplies to negative 7, he adds to 33. Oh, that's a positive 35 and a negative 2. Interesting. I guess it's not that interesting. Anyway, let's go with 10x and 10x. You can actually solve it right from here. You can say the answer is negative 35 over 10 and reduce it, and 2 over 10 and reduce it. You actually don't have to factor it out, throw it out when you're solving. But you can factor out a 5, 2x plus 7, factor a 2, 5x minus 1, throw them out. You get negative 7 over 2, and you get positive 1 over 5. That's it. Okay, on to number 4. Use a discriminant to tell what kind of roots you have. So maybe you want to put on your note card that the discriminant is just b squared minus 4ac. And if it's greater than 0, you get 2 real roots. If it equals 0, you get 1 real double root. If it's less than 0, you get 2 imaginary. Now this right here is going to be on the test as your choices A, B, C. You just have to know, what matches with what. So anyway, b squared minus 4ac, negative 1 squared minus 4ac, that's a 1 minus a big number, so it's going to be negative. So 2 imaginary. Do I care that it's negative 127? Not really. I just care that it was negative. So you try this one. So you get b squared, 7 squared minus 4ac. So 49 minus 88, that's negative, 2 imaginary. let's say, what if this number here was a positive, no, rather a negative 11? In that case, that would have been positive 88, big plus, and that would have been 2 real. Okay. Moving right along up to number 5. Okay, projectiles launched off a cliff. You know what that is, kids? That's a cliff. So the projectile, there we go. All right, they tell you the cliff's 112 feet high. They tell you the initial velocity. You don't have to worry about it because we give you the equation that has the initial velocity right here. It has the height of the cliff right there is 112. Okay, so part A, how long before the projectile hits the ground? When it hits the ground, our height is 0. So you put in 0 for h. And now you solve this. You can go right into quadratic formula. You can try to factor it. And I'll give you a little hint. On the test, guarantee you can factor out a negative 16. Don't factor out 16, factor out a negative 16. Because now you get t squared minus 6t minus 7. Now the negative 16 doesn't give you any answers. You can divide by negative 16. 0 divided by negative 16 still 0. And now you have this, which factors into t minus 7, t plus 1. 1. So your solutions are 7 seconds in negative 1 second. Negative 1 second would have happened here. This is 0 seconds. And here is your answer, 7 seconds. So that one doesn't make sense. There you go. So it's going to happen on the test. Factor out a negative 16 and it all works. I'm not going to give you another one like that because it's too tricky to make up, but factor out the negative 16 and this is guaranteed to be factorable. All right, number 6. We want to find the vertex, axis symmetry, and all that. So vertex, remember, is negative b over 2a, and then get the y, you plug it in. So that's going to be positive 3 over 2 times 1. Right? B is negative 3. So negative b is positive 3 over 2 times 1. So that's 3 halves. To find the y value, we got to plug 3 halves in for x. Not a hardship for an honors algebra 2 student. So I get 9 over 4 minus 9 over 2 minus 4 over 1. You can ask your 4th grade teacher how to do this, and he or she will say, get common denominator of 4 for a total of negative 25 over 4. So our vertex is 3 halves negative 25 over 4. So that's the answer to part A, vertex. Axis of symmetry. It's right there. That's your x. X equals 3 over 2. Make sure you write x equal. Put in your little note card. Axis symmetry, x equals. Max min is always a y equals. And there it is, negative 25 over 4. So remember, this is xy. This gives you axis symmetry. This gives you max min, always, always. All right, what else? We're going to find the zeros. Okay, finding the zeros is just solving this equation. You can use quadratic formula, or if you're lucky, it factors, and this one does. Will the one in the test factor? Yes, it will. This is x minus 4, x plus 1 equals 0. So you get 4, and you get negative 1 as your zeros. Will it really factor in the test? I'm telling you, it will. All right, so now time to graph. Well, what values do we already have? We have a vertex of 3 halves, negative 25 over 4. And you also just get your zeros, 4 and negative 1. So that means 4, 0, negative 1, 0. Normally I have you do 5 points, but on this test, I'm going to say 3 points is good enough. So how do you get to 3 points? A vertex, a 0, and a 0. Remember, whenever you get a 0, the y value is 0. So that's 1.5, negative 6.25. -1.5, negative 6.25 is about there. And then 4, 0, negative 1, 0. Beautiful. That's it. That's it. Okay. So that's that one. You want to practice another one? Why don't you practice this one? Let's see. Uh, 24. All right. Go ahead and work that one out. All right, we're back. The vertex is negative b over 2a. So that's positive 2 over 2 times 1, which is 1. Yes? Negative b, positive 2. Yep. Easy plug in. What do you get there? 1, negative 25. Yeah, because 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 24. That looks like negative 25 to me. So axis symmetry, x equals 1, max min, y equals negative 25. The zeros, factor it, x minus 6, x plus 4 equals 0. So your zeros are 6 and negative 4. So when it comes time to graph, we had 1, negative 25, and I've already forgotten, we had 6, 0, and negative 4, 0. Not a good one to graph here because negative 25 is way down there, but that won't happen on the test. But you get a point like way down here, and you get 6, 0, negative 4, 0, and you got your graph. Okay. Where are we? Number 7. Use synthetic division basically to do this. You can thank me later for not giving you a long division problem. Remember the long division? If I'm making it synthetic division. So here we go. Coefficients 2. Wait a minute. That's a squared. 2, 0, negative 7, 1, negative 1. They got to go in order. X a fourth, and it's 0x cubed minus 7x squared plus x minus 1. And what goes here? Negative 3. It's what makes this equation true. Well, that's x equals negative 3. So negative 3 there. Bring down the 2, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So our answer is 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 32 plus the remainder of 95 over the original x plus 3. That's your equation. How to get those coefficients? We started with x to the fourth, didn't we? So it's going to reduce by 1 to x cubed, x squared, x. And this is your remainder. It always goes over the original divisor, x plus 3. Okay, so why don't you try this one? Divided by x minus 2. Okay. We're back. 3, negative 2, 0, negative 1, 1, right? 0 x squared. And what goes here? Positive 2. 8, 16, 15, 30, 31. So if I did that right, answer 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 8x plus 15 plus your remainder of 31 over, what was it, x minus 2. This is your complete answer. Okay. I'm going to pause and hopefully this still works if I pause it. Can I pause? Pause. I'm back. I'm waiting for my son-in-law. You got to help him move a table. Actually, he's going to help me move the table. He's strong. I'm not. So I'm hoping I can pause and resume without losing this, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Okay, we are on to number 8. Number 8 is an easy one. Here we go. Find p of negative 3 for this. So that's again synthetic division, 2, negative 1, 4, 1. No placeholders there. And we use the actual negative 3 here. And here, all I'm interested in is the remainder. This is our answer. In other words, if I had put in negative 3 for x, all the way along the line, I get negative 74. Okay. So you try this one. Find P of 4. Okay. So what do you got? 1, -2, -5, 1. Throw a 4 in there. That's your answer. Answer column 13. That's it. Okay, number 9 is, I think, that's one of the trickier ones in the test. Write a cubic equation. That's an x cubed equation where two of the roots are 4 and I root 2. All right, we learned that anytime you have an imaginary root, they always work in pairs. They always work in pairs. So a 6 plus 2i is a root. 6 minus 2i is a root. If -3 plus I is a root, -3 minus I is a root. If 0 plus 6i is a root, 0 minus 6i is a root. And if 0 plus I root 2 is a root, 0 minus I root 2 is a root. This is really 0 plus I root 2. So your other root is 0 minus I root 2, which is just negative I root 2. So we have our 3 zeros. And we put them into an equation. Here's the deal. If let's say your zeros were 2, -1, and 6. Your equation would be this. It's always x minus the root. So x minus 2, x minus -1, x minus 6, and then you just multiply that out to get your answer. So in our case, we have x minus 4, x minus I root 2, and x minus a minus, or x plus I root 2. When you multiply these out, you start with those two. This is an FL. The O and the I and the FOIL are going to cancel, right? If you do x plus 6, x minus 6, you just got to do the first and the last, because the O and the I would cancel out. Trying not to reteach the whole semester here, but that's what happens, FL. So the first is x squared, and the last is negative I squared times a 2. It's negative I root 2 times positive I root 2. Negative times a positive is negative. I times I is I squared. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. So what is that? I squared itself is -1. So that whole thing becomes positive 2, x squared plus 2. I squared, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. I squared, it's -1 times a negative makes a positive 2. Right? Okay. So it's x squared plus 2 times x minus 4. And you just FOIL that out. So I'll get x cubed plus 2x minus 4x squared minus 8. I'll rearrange it in decreasing order of exponents and put a y equals. Oh, no, that is, but that's the answer. I don't know why this pops up, but Ray Liotta's fiance breaks her silence on his death. Ray Liotta died? Didn't know that. He was in 8 Men Out. He played Shoeless Joe Jackson. How do I get back to this? There we go. All right, you try this one. Your roots are -5, and let's say I root 3. All right, so if I root 3 is a root, negative I root 3 is a root, so it's x plus 5, x minus I root 3, and x plus I root 3. Let me just check the actual exam. Don't go away. So we're going to FL these two. So that's going to be x squared minus I squared times 3. Same as the last problem. Negative I times I is negative I squared. Root 3 times root 3 is 3. So it's x squared plus 3, right? Because it's a -1, 3. And then you do it times x plus 5. Yada, yada, you do it out. Okay. All right. That brings us up to number 10. And it says, first find all the possible rational roots, find all the possible ones, and then find the actual roots. So I'm going to pause again here and come back in a bit. And